let's show you guys what we got here. We're done with news, guys. Let's jump into our topic of the show. I kind of fought hard to see anything news-wise. I mean, we could have dug deep into Halo, could have jumped in the War Table, done a lot of other stuff here. But I figured we'd have a nice, somewhat lighthearted topic for the show. And you know what's funny is we normally do usually the end of June, middle of July. We've normally always had like the game of the year progress report, where we would sit down and really discuss like what are our games of the year so far. But I really wanted to kind of make that conversation a little bit more fun and a little bit more varied instead of, I think a lot of people, if you follow games media and us, generally you know some of the big games that are out there that are pretty heavily considered for games of the year so far. So I figured this time we're going to do something fun. Topic of the show is our favorite games of 2020 so far. I've given us the Wikipedia list. Myself and Seth have a list of games. What we're really going to do is just talk about some of our favorite games that have come out this year already, and why we like them so much. I mean, some of the games that we've played, a lot of the new games that we've jumped in here and played. Like, what are some of these new games that we've put our hands on? Why have they grabbed us so much? Why have we had so much fun with these games? So I will let Seth go first. Seth, what's going on?
All right, so I've got these listed in kind of a pseudo-chronological order because it is impossible to talk about video games this year without talking about the pandemic that we are in. I think that it has changed the way that a lot of people consume video games. And so I want to provide the right context at the right checkpoints as we go through this. So the first game that I've really enjoyed this year is not one that anyone's really going to be able to guess, but I loved it. It's called Murder by Numbers. Do you know what this game is, Cameron?
I have heard this game, but...
Let me give you the elevator pitch.
Okay, please do.
So, Murder by Numbers is a Picross-like game, but it is framed such that it is a murder mystery. So, instead of just solving Picross puzzles... Now, do you know what a Picross puzzle is? Yes,
sort of.
Sort of. Okay, it's basically like a grid... it's a pictograph puzzle is what they're commonly referred to, but basically you basically fill in dots or squares in a grid to build some kind of picture. And the way that you do that is it gives you numbers on each row and column that dictate like how many subsequent or cells in that particular row or column are colored in, right? And so it's kind of this weird like reverse Sudoku that you have to kind of solve the puzzle. They're very, very fun, and if you know what Picross is, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But this entire game is framed around you're solving these murders and you're collecting evidence, and the evidence collection is solving these pictograph puzzles, right?
Okay.
And what to kind of glue this all together, you're like, okay, what are you telling me, Seth? Where's the hook? The hook is the music is done by the same composer who made the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney music. So you can already imagine the look and feel of this game is very vibrant and colorful, even though it's, of course, talking about like murder. It's not a bright, vibrant topic per se, but the music is just like super bubbly. When it gets intense, it goes, like it really gets like catchy and intense in like that fun jingle kind of way. And it's just, man, like solving these puzzles, I could just do it for hours. I just love Picross puzzles, and as soon as they added this in, the only complaint I really have about the game is sometimes I feel like there's too much chit chat before I get to the next puzzle. But fortunately, they give you, as you go through the game, fortunately you unlock these memories, because one of the big components of the game is you have like a robot companion, and the robot companion is unlocking memories. And these memories are accessible from the main menu, and it's just straight up puzzles. It's just collections of puzzles that you get. So as you play the game, you kind of unlock more as a backlog that you can, at any time you could exit the game, go solve a puzzle or two, get back in the game, and do some of the mystery sleuthings. But I've loved this game. I played it on Switch. I think it came to other platforms. I'm not actually sure. I'd have to check on that. But Murder by Numbers. Let me check and see. But this was a Switch game. So it also came to PC. Sorry. So PC and Switch. But it is, just go look up the trailer. You'll know exactly what this is from the trailer. It is super vibrant.
I've heard this game. You're probably right. When I see the trailer, I'll know.
Yeah, it's definitely got that Phoenix Wright vibe to it. Yeah. Very fun. Very fun.
Okay, I'll get an easy one out of the way here. One of my favorite games of 2020 is definitely got to be Ghost of Tsushima. Like, I haven't had a chance to talk about it much, but I've played a lot more. I'm hoping to get some game capture footage so I can get a review, a Rocket Punch review done for the channel. But Ghost of Tsushima is a really... as you continue to play more and more, it's like... It's like, you know, the... I mean, this is a horrible example, but like... The meals at Crystal's, the breakfast stackers, where at the first top you just got like some eggs. You're like, oh, this is good, this is good. Then you start like, as you continue to dig down, there's like sausage and grits and gravy and all this other stuff that's really, really good. And I think that's really what sums up me in Ghost of Tsushima right now, is that there's so many layers and so much fun that be had with this game. As I continue to play more and more, I'm like, you know, not even just like with, I'm running I'm not going to say all the way, but like a very Witcher-esque vibe where like, okay, I'm going to this location to take care of this thing. And as I'm going there, this little yellow bird flops up into my view. Oh, let me follow it. It took me to this side quest that I can talk to. Or, ooh, what's this? A fox is on the ground. Fox den. Got it. Stop. Fox den. Go to the fox den. But I think that what's really drawn me a lot to this game is not only the aesthetic, kind of the feudal Japan era, but also the stories that it tells. I think if you peel away the coat, I think a lot of the quests are pretty streamlined. They're pretty standard, nothing too out of the ordinary. You have a couple special ones here and there, nothing like The Witcher, but with that coat on, it tells a lot of interesting stories, and I feel like I meet all these different characters and people in the world of Tsushima as I go around and basically become the badass samurai or stealthy ninja, whichever one you want to do. And it kind of like, I can feel the power, like as I continually do. I feel like, you know, Seth, you always talk about the numbers going up. Like as I do more things, my numbers go up, whether it's stats, equipment that I can, or supplies that I can use to upgrade my equipment, to make my weapons better, to use tools, anything like that. And then I feel myself getting better playing the game, and like stealthily I can shoot people, you know. I had a half bow, which is a short bow. Now I've got the full bow, like the big dog, like it like shoots the heavy arrows, and like even if you have an armor helmet on, it's like whoop, you're dead.
Oh, nice, very nice.
And so, like going around and starting to play around with that, it's just the game is really, really fun. I think that aesthetic is something that's very unique, and I think it helps well to that game, because I think the aesthetic is a big reason why that game is awesome and successful. If it had been another kind of skin on there, depending on what it is, I'm not sure if it would have done well. But we talked about last week how well it did with its sales. But the world is gorgeous. It's beautiful. Sometimes I just want to run through this land and just watch the leaves flow, the wind blow, the ocean kind of cascade across the rocks there. This game, I'm talking about this game like this, and I'm not even halfway through. Like, so the island is split, and I'm in one half of the island, and I've only like tracked down maybe 50% of the stuff on the island, on that part, and there's still a whole section that's bigger than that one above me. And so I've really had a really good time with Ghost of Tsushima. It's quickly come up as one of my favorite games that I've played this year, and definitely, I think it's definitely worth playing if you're a big fan of that aesthetic. So, have
you been playing with Kurosawa mode?
I have not yet. I'm playing through regular mode with English, just to keep it simple for me. I'm definitely I want to. There are going to be times where I want to jump in and actually play with the black and white in the Kurosawa mode, for sure.
Very nice.
For sure.
All right.
What's next for you?
My next one. So after Murder by Numbers, I wanted to play something that was kind of fresh and new. but also a return to one of my favorite games from the early Xbox One generation, and that is the sequel to Ori and the Blind Forest, which was Ori and the Will of the Wisp, a Game of the Year contender in many books, in mine included. Will of the Wisp, an absolutely gorgeous game. God, what a beautiful game. It is so full, like that they were able to capture that watercolor palette. Like it feels like the whole game is made in watercolor, just like Cuphead captured that whole game feels like a 1920s cartoon. Like this game just feels like a painting, right? Start to finish. And so this game took much more of the like Shovel Knight, sorry, not Shovel Knight, Hollow Knight approach to being a little bit more combat focused, having upgrade trees and an overworld that was kind of more about, you know, fighting combat encounters, but also doing some tricky platforming and things like that. So I think they did a great job making a sequel to Ori, right? The original Ori and the Blind Forest was such a fun and interesting platformer, and they've been able to add in combat and a lot of new puzzles and tons of new content that just made that game, just made you want to soak it all up. And I think that is just such a strong example of games that tend to get overlooked. Like I think this game launched with maybe some technical issues on the Xbox, and so that kind of put a damper on things from the start.
On the Xbox side. Leon the Gray, thank you for the sub, sir. 12 months. You're back, bitches.
Welcome back. Welcome back. We're talking about Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Basically, Ori came out and said, "I'm back, bitches." Like,
that's what happened.
That's what happened. Beautiful game, and I think that I played it on PC, so I didn't run into any of the technical problems that people were running into. But it was absolutely gorgeous. A Game of the Year contender for sure. In a very busy year of Game of the Year contenders, but it was such a beautiful game. Like, just what a great game. I loved every minute with it, and I cannot wait to see what's next for Moon Studio, to see what they're working on next, because I don't know if more Ori's on the plate, but man, I love the two.
They announced this week that they're partnering with Private Division to publish an action RPG game.
Oh, cool!
That is their next project. That's what they're working on.
I would say Ori and the Will of the Wisp is a beautiful love letter to fans of that series. That's a great wrap up for that. So I loved it.
Okay, let me dig through my list here. Next up on my list, I think I'm going to talk about is Journey to the Savage Planet. This was a game that I had no idea what I was getting, like what this game was.
It was weird, dude.
But it's quick. I had a blast with that. I've streamed it. I've recorded a video of it once. But this game is basically, you are this, what you would say, you're like this you're part of this company, and they send you on this planet to kind of study its inhabitants and explore and learn and get resources and stuff like that. There's a very No Man's Sky-like vibe there, but just the colorful aesthetic, the controls, all this other stuff is really, really cool to see. I like the platforming, the jumping, and like kind of how the puzzles work, exploring it. You can do this game co-op, which is really cool. I think myself and Will at the time, we actually played the game together, and that was super, super dope. But no, I had a really good time getting a chance to explore this world that in the Journey to the Savage Planet. Had a whole lot of fun. It was like a smaller indie game. I had it on Epic Game Store. But those No Man's Sky vibes really helped out, and then exploring and seeing all the different like biomes and seeing the different creatures and like learning how to take them down, and then some of the humor that's in this game is pretty funny, especially when you like die and you respawn on the ship. Were super hilarious, and like as you get, it's just so very cool, that sense of discovery. Like you see this huge open world, but like some places you can't reach, but as you get like the jetpack boost, now you can boost up to the next level. Now you can go explore this area, and then when you get like the rocket shoes or something, I don't know, you go to this area over here, and the grappling hook, you can swing over to this area over here, and et cetera, et cetera. Like Journey to the Savage Planet is really, really fun, really cool. I've had a really good time with it. It's been one of my most memorable experiences this year, for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of got a weird like Metroid Prime kind of vibe to it, because it is like a first person shooter, but it's got like you were talking about those upgrades, they allow you to get access to the new areas that you have probably run across. Like you go back to other areas and you're like, oh, there's a grapple point I can grapple to, or now I can double jump so I can get to that area I couldn't get to before. I also want to, I've played a little bit of this. I want to highlight just how ridiculous this game is. I feel like you were like, oh, it's like No Man's Sky. And like No Man's Sky is like, it's a massive world. Explore the universe. Find the secret to life. This is literally like you are working for the fourth.
Yeah, they stress that.
We're the fourth best inner space like exploration pioneer program. And every time you go back to your ship, you're getting hit with ads for like Meat Buddy. Like throw your
unused, great.
Yeah, it's like wasted meat parts. You put them in this box and they become like a Furby made of meat. And you've got just these crazy zany FMV cutscenes or videos, I guess, with back to basics. This game is just absolutely zany. It's really cool. Zany.
Definitely worth checking out. I believe it's on Game Pass. So
it is on Game Pass. That's how I've been playing it.
Yeah, so definitely check that out. But no, that's been one of my games that I've enjoyed with this year.
Nice. All right, next from me. Now, we're getting into the juggernauts, the big uns. All right, so right around this time, we're getting kind of into that mid-March time frame. The world is beginning to crumble to pieces. The world is falling apart. Stock market is crashing. Lava falling from the sky.
Of course.
Everything's happening. Lo, and for lo, dost thou come upon a white steed on that hill so high. Nintendo, with waving the giant banner of Animal Crossing New Horizons to save us from this horrible year.
Oh, man.
They came with legions of cute animal critters with a full-on Animal Crossing game on Nintendo Switch, complete with house building, island customization, stock market manipulation, online visiting of other islands, everything Animal Crossing fans have been clamoring for. They packed into this one game, vacation themed, so we could even pretend to escape from our real world, which we were now trapped in our home. Man, Animal Crossing New Horizons, one of the best entries into the series, period. A absolute delight just to play. Like it's still, you can go back to it right now. There's new content in the game. They're adding new stuff all the time. Animal Crossing New Horizons. What can I say? You put a Godzilla statue on your island, dude. Like, you get the Easter Island statue on the island. You get 6 of them. Boom, line them up. You want to open your island to people? Boom, you've been bombarded. People are stealing shit left and right. It's great. I love it.
You want to trade in the turnip market? Boom, there you go. You talk to somebody on Sunday.
Get in the 7.5 hour queue. You can sell your turnips for 700 bells a piece. Like, here you go. Wait in this digital line. Like, it's like Animal Crossing created this cultural touch point that stuff like Pokemon Go does, right? Like, it transcended just like normal video games, right? Like, you talked a little bit about Ghost of Tsushima. Like, it gets talked about a lot within like the gaming culture, but Animal Crossing broke outside that. This is when Switch shortages started happening. This was when every little detail about this game was just like consumed by everybody, right? There were these are the fish to catch. Here's the tips for catching, the fish for this month, right? And like, even at the end of March, people were like, you got to catch this really rare fish, otherwise the sturgeon's going to go away. Like that kind of culture.
I'm in that. I have to be in there. Yep. Oh, I got to stop. You got to
get it. You got to get it.
Fish.
And it was just so fun to follow that. And it's a new Animal Crossing game coming out is always an event for the first month or so, as people are, because basically the core community all gets there together, right? Like on the second day, unless you're one of those buttheads who do time skipping, in which case, delete. Anyways, I digress. But like, it was really fun the second day where, now we've unlocked the shop. Oh, and the third day, now we've unlocked this. Like, if people were following through everything they could do each day, we all as a community were kind of going together. So, man, I loved Animal Crossing New Horizons. I think that game has still got a lot of life left in it. And I'm super pleased to see that they're finally adding in some of those features like island syncing. That's been the hugest terror for me, is like, if my Switch gets destroyed or something, that I'm going to lose access to my island.
No, it's gone.
But now they're going to allow you to sync it up. So
yeah, that's going to be real awesome.
Animal Crossing New Horizons, again, another Game of the Year contender, juggernaut of the year.
Yeah, JW Moses says I really enjoyed it. I can't wait to get back into it. Yeah, agreed. Like,
it's a game I'm gonna circle back to.
If I'm not mistaken, it's the best-selling Animal Crossing game. Period. No other game has beaten it. Like across from the first one until now, no other game has beaten it in sales, and so that's pretty impressive.
It came at the exact right time too. Like it hit right as the pandemic really started to hit the US, and people really wanted something to get their mind off of how negative everything was. And I mean, like I said, Nintendo came in waving that banner of just like, come here to feel good. And we loved it. We still love it. I love this game and adore it. And I am so excited to see how it's going to grow for years to come. So,
yeah, agreed. Let's see here. Next on my list. What do I want to pick? You know what? Let's just do the easy one, because everybody, if you're watching this right now, you're sitting at home, either listening or watching, whatever, and saying, Cameron, stop playing with us. We know one of the games that's on the list. You just need to come out and tell us this game and just start talking about it and get it out of the way. So let's get out of the way. Final Fantasy VII Remake is on this list, 100%. Like it could not be on this list. No, Final Fantasy VII. Good. I'm glad my boy Cloud is up in the corner here too. He's gonna hype us up here. The remake was really something special for a lot of different reasons. Number one, like the work they did graphically with this game was very well done. I remember even then, like, it was using Unreal Engine 4. It looked great. There were still a couple of times where I would see some like pop in or some like maybe some hair or something looked a little off there, but seeing the characters that I played with when I was a kid on this polygon-esque style with the short hands, like, you know, you can't see their mouth move or anything, and then to actually like play them fully fleshed out with full voiceover in this world was just something special for me, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I think even more so is the care that Square Enix took with this game. I mean, we got this announced back in 2014, 15?
It was E3 of Dreams, whenever that was.
13 or 14. It was a couple of years back.
It wasn't 13.
It wasn't 13?
I think it was 15.
Okay, it might have been 15. But I remember it getting announced, like, oh, this is coming, this is going to be really cool. But, you know, there was still a lot of skepticism on, like, are they going to hit the mark? People are hyped for this game. Is it going to live to the hype? And I think it really did. I think they, like, even to a certain extent, they broke out of that hype and they were able to pull in people who had never played Final Fantasy games before to jump in and play and sell really well, especially with the fact that it's only on, right now it's only on PlayStation. I imagine that game is going to come to PC at some point here in the near future. But the remake has been just awesome, and the care they took not only with the game, the Final Fantasy property as a whole, but also still continue to inject new things and things that didn't happen before into this game and kind of chart their own path, which I'm not going to spoil it for anybody if you want to play it, but it was really, really cool. It was really special. That the last part of the game as you're escaping Midgar was just a fucking roller coaster. Like, yeah, keep going. I was just like, the final boss fights were like very intense, and I will say that it was one of those boss fights where it's like everybody's health is low. You're like, oh god, I'm gonna die. Burn the boss. And like, you have a sliver of health and you get the last one. You're like, yes. You just drop to the floor. Like, we did it. It's really something special. I think they've done a really great job. I think that for all the talk of like how long it took to make the game, I think in the end, I'm very happy that they took the time they needed. Sure, we complained that it was taking too long, but if they had rushed it, I don't think we would have gotten the experience we did. I'm really curious to see what Part 2 is going to hold. I hope that it's going to look great in that Unreal Engine 5. But we'll see. But no.
I mean, your grandkids will see.
They will. I remember when Part 1 came out. But no, Final Fantasy VII Remake, I had a absolute blast with that game. I love it to death. On my short lists for my personal game of the year. But it's really good. If you haven't played, play it.
Back a box quote, but it's really good.
Yes, but it's real good.
It's real good. Yeah, I was wondering when that one would come up. I was like, it's gotta be somewhere on his list. It's gotta be somewhere on his list.
It has to be. I feel like I can't. I have to put it on here.
So this is the point where I get a little retrospective with my list and start to realize that I believe when it comes to my gaming taste this year, it has become the mind of a child and escape from the reality of 2020. Because when I look at my Murder by Numbers, super fun, colorful puzzle game, Ori and the Will of the Wisp, explore the adventurous forest together with your friends. Animal Crossing New Horizons, hang out with super cute stuffed animals on the super cute island. And now moving into the other of the, I guess you'd say, the mega franchises for young people, Minecraft Dungeons, another game that came out this year. Right. Absolutely loved every minute with this game. Still working on getting the 1K on this. We're on the final difficulty, and me and my friend that were co-oping, you and me co-opted this for a little bit on Rocket Punch Live, but I've been co-oping this with one of my multiplayer buddies for a majority of my playthrough. We're on the last difficulty. We've got maybe 4 or 5 more levels left before the final boss on the last difficulty. And then the new DLC, we have the Hero Pass, so the new DLC as it comes out, we're going to have access to that as well. We've already played the jungle level a little bit. I love Minecraft Dungeons. Haters gonna hate, but this is a really fun Diablo-like action RPG. It is very, it's definitely not the deepest game in the world, but that's okay. I wanted something like that. I think it's a perfect Game Pass game. It is something you can jump into. Your progression isn't necessarily level based. It kind of follows that Destiny methodology of your gear provides the power.
Mm-hmm.
So it provides a really smooth level curve or power ramp into higher difficulties. I also like how each difficulty tier, so there's 3 main tiers of difficulty, you can kind of adjust each level's difficulty within that tier. So if you wanted to go back to the first level and play it on a difficulty that's matched to where you currently are in that playthrough, you can, because each level has its own unique drop sets. So like if I needed an enhanced sword, I could go back to level 1 or level 5 or level 6, right? That's where the swords are going to drop. So it incentivizes playthroughs, multiple playthroughs. And honestly, I loved the fact that they gave Minecraft a shot for being a frame for something else, right? Like Minecraft has always been a game full of other games, right? Just like Roblox and just like Fortnite, like people make new games inside the game, right?
Yeah.
Some people argue that like the earliest battle royale was Minecraft Hunger Games, right? Back in the PUBG days. They basically built a battle royale in Minecraft. So people have been experimenting with like using Minecraft as a platform. Essentially, they just did this. Like Mojang made a Minecraft game, a Diablo game in the Minecraft world. And it was just really cool to see them experiment and try something new. Really fun to play co-op, perfect couch co-op game with a friend or online with up to 4 people can play online. So
I think so.
Yeah. So, and I think you can play 4 people couch co-op as well. So it's a really great, man. I just love Minecraft Dungeons. And I'm going to play all the DLC. I expect to 1K that game.
We'll hold him to it.
Yep.
Heard it here first. He's going to 1K it.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Going to 1K it.
Good game. I considered putting that on my list. I'll definitely admit I've played a lot of that game. It's been a whole lot of fun. I want to play more of it. That's the key.
Yeah.
I have to join you guys in playing some co-op. It's because it's not the kicker is it's not cross save. It's coming soon. Crossplay. I think you can crossplay, but you can't cross save.
Yeah, you can crossplay, but like progress doesn't carry over back and forth.
Next up on the list, what do we have? A good one. And there are a couple of reasons I really like this game. I feel like the Resident Evil franchise for me has really kicked in since Resident Evil 7. And I've played the other ones in the past before, but like Resident Evil 7 is where I really like, man, I really like this series. Resident Evil 3 was an awesome experience and a really great game that I really enjoyed this year. Regardless of how people felt, I actually appreciated the fact that this game was only like, you can beat it in under 10 hours quite easily. This wasn't something that unlike Ghost of Tsushima, unlike Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I think FF7 Remake, I didn't even do everything in there, and it took me, I want to say I was in the 30 to 40 hour range before beating that game. I beat Resident Evil 7 in like 7 to 8 hours, but it didn't feel like 7 to 8 hours. It was a non-stop like action roller coaster with Jill and Carlos and the Nemesis and coming through. It was a whole lot of fun. I've really enjoyed what Capcom has done, starting with Resident Evil 7 with like reinventing their series and and especially with the remakes. Resident Evil 2 was a blast. I love that game. So much I love the game. I bought the damn thing again on a Steam sale for like $15. So I'll play this on PC with the ray tracing and the 1080. Oh god, the 1440p but Resident Evil 3 has really was super fun, and I liked the fact that it was super. I don't say super quick, but like a very quick, easy game to kind of get in, play. I beat it in a weekend. I jumped in one weekend, boom, I played it, I was done. Like I really had a lot of fun with this. A lot of the new stuff they've added in there for a game that I never played. I never played Resident Evil 3, and so jumping into this lore and kind of checking out this scene was really something great. Having Nemesis follow you around was really great. I wish they would have done a better job of keeping the Nemesis around in the second half of the game. That being said, the final boss fight, thumbs up, dude. I felt like a badass. Felt like a badass, and it was really, really cool. I understand if you have qualms about the game because of its length. Sure, that's fine. I paid full price for this, and I thought it was definitely worth my money. If you don't think it's worth the full $60, like, get this on a sale. Find it on a sale, save you some money, then play this game. I encourage everyone to do so. Resident Evil 3 is a really great time.
It is on my. I am a huge Resident Evil fan. Been a huge Resident Evil fan since 4, and I am ashamed to say I have not actually played this game yet. This is the one Resident Evil game I did not buy at launch, because when it came out, I cannot remember. I know that finances were a little tight at the time, and so I was kind of looking at the cost per hour, of game time, right, as a factor in that. Because I remember that and Doom Eternal were two games that I really wanted to play, but could not quite get at that particular moment. So they are now on my holiday list. Once we get to the holidays and they go on super sale, that's going to be my. I'm going to circle back around to that game, but yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about RE3 and your positive praise of it. Your glowing praise of the game makes me feel even more excited about playing it. So
you definitely play it. It's a good, like I said, you can pick the game up. If you stick with it a weekend, you can have the game beat from start to finish and be like, man, that was a really good time.
Yeah. All right, so the next one we're going to combo because I know it's on your list as well. Don't lie to me and tell me it's not. I know it is. All right.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So remember last point where I said I feel like I'm just playing a bunch of kids' games during this pandemic?
Yes.
Well, then I immediately threw a wrench in that and decided to suffer through the agony of the trauma of playing The Last of Us Part 2. This was a game that I will say I power played to truthfully say how it is. Like, it is a game that I played every hour of every day that I could. I was obsessed with this game. I've talked ad nauseum in the past about how Last of Us, the first one, was one of my favorite games from last generation, despite the fact that I was a huge Xbox gamer last generation. It still resonated with me as this crazy good story. So Last of Us Part 2, I was very interested in learning more. And so I figured I'll talk a little bit about it, and then we'll trade off and talk a little bit.
Oh, yeah, I'll jump in where needed. That's
cool. Yeah. Go ahead and let you know I am not going to do any spoilers. This will be a spoiler-free discussion of this. I do not want to ruin this game for anybody. I may talk a little bit about some gameplay elements, but I will not talk about any story beats or give away anything that would be meaningful to your first playthrough. So just heads up on that. This is the second best stealth game ever made, and after Metal Gear 5 Phantom Pain, period, hands down. Badoom.
Yeah, sure.
Case closed. It is a story that I was very interested to see how Naughty Dog was going to continue that. I thought it was a mistake from the moment they announced they were making a sequel to this. I was like, ooh, you're putting it all on the line. But I think they really did a good job of telling a different story using the same characters. And that's what really meant the most to me, is this is not a story about... It's not a story about the aftermath of The Last of Us Part 1. It is a story that takes place in the aftermath of Last of Us Part 1, right? It's not necessarily about, like, oh, what happens to Joel and Ellie after Last of Us Part 1? Like, yes, they talk about that ad nauseum, but this is really a story about Ellie and what Ellie is going through as she becomes an adult, right? Yeah. In a much more mature world, as we've gotten further from that outbreak date, and we start to see how quote unquote normal life looks in this post pandemic, right?
Yeah. And
so that's where I think this game does a really great job of just making you feel like, hey, you know what? We're going to go out on a patrol, and a patrol is, we got to kill 8 zombies any one of these zombies could, like, completely murder us, right? And in many cases they almost do, but, like, this is just a normal part of your day, right? Like, you take the dog for a walk, go kill a dozen zombies in a supermarket, like, and they do a really good job of making that feel like just part of your world. And then as you move further into the game and you get through the initial kind of the plot hook, I think this game does a great job of hooking you in within the first hour or two. And then you kind of start playing the game proper after you have that plot hook to pull you in. They start to introduce tons of new enemy types, new locations, new puzzle types, and really just this game is just masterpiece. I can't describe it as anything else.
This game was really something special to me. It's on my list too. I just like The Last of Us Part 2, and I'll definitely admit I didn't. I talked about it on the podcast, but number one, I definitely wasn't as high on the game. But I'd say not as high as game, but like I wasn't as. I guess both games I didn't really have like huge expectations for, but then jumped in and like got sucked in. And number two is the only thing is I wish I had. I need to play this again. I need to slow down because I sped up a little bit to talk about this for our spoiler cast, and I think this is a game that you sip on this like a fine wine. You don't just like power chug it and then smash it on your skull. Like, this game has so many emotional roller coasters. There's so much emotion and so much character. It's like, I think this is the epitome of like when artists leave their souls on the canvas. Like, that is here in this game, The Last of Us Part 2. And this wasn't a game that I necessarily needed to have or wanted to have. Like, I think the end of The Last of Us Part 1 ended perfectly. I'm like, I'm totally fine. Yep. You don't have to do another one. But they decided to do another one, and I think I'm happy, and I'm all the better for it, because they've always said that they're going to do it if they have a story worth telling, and I think the story they tell is a very powerful one. And it shows in every inch of that game from start to finish. I got to play that again sometime this year. It's really awesome.
Masterpiece.
That means I've got 2 left.
I've got 2 left as well. So either I can jump back in and do it, or we can swap it up at this point.
You jump in again. You take it. You take it off.
All right. So Last of Us Part 2, I finished that trauma. And during this period, I kind of went into a state of flux where I started to just kind of play whatever I felt like. Unfortunately, I'm disappointed to report that I got back into Heroes of the Storm around this time. So
shame on you, sir.
I had to turn in my coin, my days clean coin. I'll admit I played it today, so I'm back with the sickness. But I played some Diablo 3 Seasons. I played some various Game Pass games. Just kind of had some fun. I do want to mention. Can I do an honorable mention real quick?
Yeah.
So I played recently Carrion on Game Pass. Carrion's
good.
Out about a week ago. This is not necessarily on my formal list. This is more of an honorable mention. I ended up 1K in this game. I love this game. Carrion is a fantastic game. It is It reminded me a little bit of like, imagine if Hotline Miami was a Metroidvania, because it's all about, like, you remember, did you play Hotline Miami?
I haven't played Hotline Miami, but I have played Carrion, so
For those who have not played Hotline Miami, that's what I was about to say. Hotline Miami.
That'd be a cool game.
It is a game about busting the door open and killing everyone in the room as quickly as possible, right? Because it's a one-hit death kind of experience, right? And the same kind of goes for Carrion. It's not a one-hit death experience, but you are playing as this like weird. I think the creature from The Thing, right? John Carpenter's The Thing.
The Thing.
It is a thing that eats people and then kind of can turn into them. You don't quite find out about the turn into them until a little bit later, but you've got like tentacles that you can control and like abilities that you unlock. And it's all about like you break in through the vent, like you gotta, you hit the guy with the gun, so he like flies against the wall, and as he's standing up, you eat the other 3 people, which makes you grow in size. So now you can shoot spikes at the dude who's standing up with the gun, like that kind of action gameplay. Super fun. It took me probably about 6 hours to 1K at very quick playthrough.
Oh wow!
Definitely play that game.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, super fast. If you play it,
I've played through like at least like 2 or 3 hours of it, and it was fun. It was a blast. I enjoyed that.
It's a blast. Not my official entry. My official entry also comes from Xbox Game Pass. Cameron, I got to tell you, this is a game that is #shook me. I never thought that I would be able to put my hands on a foam finger quotes here indie game, and I mean this strictly as it's designed budget, like it was built on a smaller budget. It was actually built as a browser game, and I am talking about Crosscode. And
I did not know that.
Okay, Crosscode, one of the best RPGs of the year, period. It is an apps, like if it is up there with Chrono Trigger in just...
Ooh, boy, that's a lot of praise.
Tight combat, tight controls. It's basically, it looks and plays like a game from that era. It's a pixel art RPG. It's got a lot of JRPG kind of inspirations. There's a lot of emphasis on the items that you have. You don't buy items per se. All the items are traded for. So you have to collect resources out in the world, and then you bring them back to the town and you trade those resources for them.
Okay.
It is, just to give you a little bit of context for what this game is, it is a single player story driven RPG, but it is framed as you are playing in an MMO with other people, right? And it's kind of got a Sword Art Online vibe to it, where you're like trapped in the MMO, right? So the whole mechanic of it being an MMO is used in a very clever way. So when in JRPGs, you have moments where like new characters join the party and then new characters leave the party. It's like this ebb and flow. That's dictated by who's online at the time, right? So you pull up your friends list, right? And it shows all your potential party members, and 2 of them are online, so you can invite them to your party. So it does really cool stuff with that. And like I said, it is a single player. It is not an online game, but it is framed such that you're playing an online game. It does a lot of cool stuff with the combat. It is a hybrid between ranged and melee. So press X and you'll do like a melee attack, swoop, 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 kind of Zelda-like in that regard.
That's pretty cool.
But then a lot of the game revolves around in the MMO, there are multiple classes, and your class is a spheromancer, so you shoot like magic balls at people, right?
Okay.
And the way that the aiming works is it's top down, kind of like a Zelda game. So you move the right stick in a direction, and the aiming reticule kind of starts to get more narrow, and then it will like finally close up, and then it's like a super accurate shot at that point, right? And you can charge up the shot so that it will bounce. So a lot of the puzzle solving is getting to different elevations, because even though it's a 2D game, it's got different elevations, right?
Okay.
And you have to bounce the balls off of things. It has dungeons, so you complete the dungeon and you get an upgrade that allows you to do new stuff. And even the enemy, dude, this game is just packed full of good stuff, dude. So I'm going to tell you about one enemy that I'm facing. I'm probably saying about 12 hours into the game at this point. And I'm facing an enemy, and I want to describe the enemy to you, because it's just a normal enemy that you run into in the region that I'm in.
Please go on.
So it is a series of viruses, right? So let's say you're fighting a flame virus. So the flame virus always spawns with 2 neutral viruses, all right? So the flame virus will go up to a neutral virus and give it like flame power, right? So it'll like download, transfer flame power to it. Well, once that neutral virus has flame power, it's going to like do a fireball attack where it like charges at you and catches on fire. Right after it does that, it'll have a little moment of weakness where if you hit it with an ice attack, it will basically break the virus and turn it into an antivirus. So it'll just kind of float there as an antivirus.
Yeah.
Now, if you wait too long, it's going to recover and go back to get the flame power again. However, the main flame virus is like floating around, right? And it tries its best to avoid you. So once you've created the antivirus, you have to like corral the virus over to it, and once it gets close to it, it will snap onto it and try and give it the firepower again. But since it's an antivirus, it makes the main virus like exposed where you can attack it. Dude, this is a raid mechanic that you are applying to a normal enemy in this RPG.
Cool. That's pretty cool.
It is so good, and the story has some crazy plot twists to it. A lot of drama. I'm talking like, even though it's in an MMO, you have these crazy like character deaths. Like, it's just, dude, it's insane. Like, Crosscode is so good, and it started as a browser game. It was like you played it in Chrome. But it is on Game Pass. It's on Nintendo Switch. I think it's on PS4 as well. I think you can buy it on PS4.
I think it's on PS4. I believe you're right.
Yeah, so Crosscode, one of my favorite games this year. And I can't wait to beat it. Like I said, I'm probably about 15 hours in at this point, and I have gone to 8 different like lands. Each one has like a dungeon. Like, it is just, it's huge. It's a much bigger game than I thought it was going to be. And it's just so cool, man. Play Crosscode. I sent a tweet that was just play Crosscode, and I'm quoting it. Just play Crosscode. It is on Game Pass. It is so worth your time, and it just continues to drop new gameplay mechanics, new types of enemies, and like don't let my description of the virus enemy intimidate you, because it is very much like it eases you into that. Okay. But it is a God Bless America RPG. It has skill trees. It has. Yes. It has like
that's what I want.
It has skill trees that you can choose to either put all your points into one skill tree, or you can diversify your points between 2 branches of that tree. So it's still within one tree, like the ice tree, but like you can choose between, do you want your special attack to be like a giant ice bomb that takes a second to charge up, a la Spirit Bomb, or do you want to have like a giant like skid where like ice shoots out from you as you like skid across the arena, right? Okay. And you could either like, you're like, no, dude, I want to go all in on the ice bomb. So you can like go way far up that tree really early on, but you could also invest some points over to that other branch, and you can swap between the branches anytime. So okay. It's got that level of customization I think people want, where you can invest your points where you want, and there's permanence. You can't really like, you get like resets, like point resets at periodic points throughout the game, where you can buy them using a rare material that you find in the game. No microtransactions. Everything in the game is unlockable, but like it feels like an old school RPG, and I love it. Play Crosscode, one of my favorite games this year. So good.
It's a very impassioned speech. Let's try it
Love
out.
Love it.
Actually, I have it downloaded on my Xbox because I was going through Game Pass games to download, and that was one of the games that ended up on there. I just have to get a chance to play it.
Cameron, you will love it.
Because I was going to play Remnant from the Ashes, but then it had a patch, and I was like, this ruined the night. And I went to bed. Dude,
you better call me when you play Remnant, dude.
Okay.
We're co-oping that. I co-opted it with a friend, and he was kind of like meh on it. Okay. So we stopped playing it pretty early on. I've probably only played for about an hour, but I will play that with you. Deal.
Okay. It's a date. The penultimate pick for me, I think I'm gonna go. I know what I'm gonna have last. So, it's a game that's already been out, but I really want to take the time to talk about how much I've been into this game this year. Apex Legends is awesome. Again, it is the only I will say it was the only battle royale that really pulled me in. And now it's like been the only battle royale that's really kept me. I love Apex Legends. I love playing that game. I've gotten better with that as I've gotten in. I've just had a really great, fun time jumping into that world and learning. And I think the one thing I like is how fast-paced it is. But not too fast-paced, but like very quick going in. It didn't feel, I like Call of Duty Warzone, but that can feel a little sluggish at times, and then there's no building mechanics. So sorry, Fortnite, it's just how it is. But no, Apex Legends has really grabbed me, and I've really just had I've had a great time with that, and that'll be that's a staple. That's up there with It's not quite up with Overwatch, but it's close to being like a staple game that I play consistently throughout the year.
Until Overwatch 2 comes out.
Yes, and then that will be replaced and banished. So yeah, Apex Legends is my penultimate pick. What's your final pick?
All right, my final pick is probably not a surprise to anyone who's been enjoying my beautiful background here. My final pick is Paper Mario: The Origami King. This is on the document I put Kingdom, but it's the Origami King. It is my first Paper Mario game. Fun fact.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
I had played the first Paper Mario on N64. I rented it from Blockbuster. Boom. Dated.
Oh boy, yeah, that's
carbon
super dated.
dated. But I cannot describe the level of joy that this game has brought to me. It is such a beautiful. First off, it's a beautiful game. This behind me, screenshot from the game. Everything in the game is. Yeah, this is not like anything doctored up. This is from the game. It is a world that's built with. Yeah, Leon says blockbusters. Those were the day. It is a game filled with just vibrant colors, amazing areas. You go to, of course you have like your green plains. You have these fun like shogun temples, right? Like feudal Japan style temples. You have cave sections. There are dungeons in this game. It is chock full of stuff. And I think the best description that I've heard is it is a fantastic Mario game trapped in a JRPG, if that makes sense. And it's a lot of people have a lot of opinions about Paper Mario games. If you're really into Paper Mario, you know that those early games were very RPG focused, right? They had XP and you leveled up. So you don't quite do that here. Your battles, really the only thing you get from battles is coins, and those coins are what you use for help in the battle. You use them to buy items, which, are upgrade. That's your more powerful attacks. And yes, those items do break after a short while. But at first that kind of put me off. But then I got 10,000 coins within the first hour of the game, and I've never been under 10,000 cents. So you really don't run out of money. The idea is that Mario has always been about the endorphin release of solving the puzzle or making the jump or getting the coin, right? This game encapsulates that into this really fun RPG. Okay. You are going and exploring around. You're meeting new characters. So you'll see behind me, wrong side. You'll see behind me that Mario is hanging out with this little Bob here, which without giving too much away, he is a Bob you meet that is suffering from memory loss. He has forgotten who he is. So you go on an adventure to help him overcome his amnesia. And then next to Mario is Olivia, who's kind of more of like the main, I hate to say sidekick, but she's like your companion through the journey, right?
Okay.
And she is an origami princess. And so a big part of the game is that you're dealing with this evil origami king who's turned, because you're Paper Mario, so everyone's made of paper, right? And so he's folding everyone up into these origami creations. And the game is it does some really cool stuff with folding paper, smashing paper, tons of hidden toads. So a lot of the fun of the game is you're exploring these environments, and you see you'll see like a little foot sticking out, and you're like, pull it out. He'll be like, thanks, Mario, and they'll say these stupid jokes, just like the stupidest things ever, where they're like, this is not a real one that I've run into, but he'll be like stuck in a clam, and you'll open it up. He's like, thanks, man. I was starting to feel kind of clammy in there. Like, it's that level of just like roll your eyes, but you got to love it humor. And
I'm with you on that. Okay.
What's really cool about this game, I would say that the general combat with just the normal enemies is it's more puzzle solving than it is combat-y, because it's a series of rings, and the whole point of the combat is you spin the rings and move enemies around the arena so that you can line them up to do like combo jumps, right?
Yeah.
And it does have the timing. So if you like the timing mechanics of Paper Mario, where you have to press A at a certain point, so like on the jump attack, when you land on their head, if you press A, you're going to do bonus damage, right? So a lot of that cool stuff built in there.
Okay.
Man, this game is just filled with like just funny writing, clever Mario shenanigans. Like some Koopa Troopers are like, "Help us! He's about to steal this valuable item. What are we gonna do? Walk slowly toward him?" Like it's a lot of just tongue in cheek stuff about just about Mario in general. And I think that even down to, I would say if you haven't looked up anything about this game, specifically the bosses,
Yeah, I have
don't look up anything about the bosses because the bosses are just hilarious, goofy, fantastic. They're not what you'd expect from a Mario game. And even the boss fights themselves are puzzles that you're basically, instead of trying to line up enemies, you're lining up the rings to create a pathway that you travel. And so you'll be running along the pathway and you'll hit a switch that will activate the magic powers, or you'll hit an attack and maybe you have to line it up so you're attacking the tail or you're attacking the leg. Those kinds of puzzle solving mechanics. It's very much a puzzle fighter more than it is an action RPG. But man, it is so good. And the best, I want you to know that at Game of the Year, I don't know how we're going to do it, but generally we would have these goofy categories that like spawn off of the main categories. One of them that I would fight for would be best endorphin release, right? The thing that just really like, it feels so good to do, right? Like open a loot box in Overwatch, right? One of those best endorphin release moments of the year is throwing the confetti, because there are parts of the world that have been like ripped open, and so they're just holes in the ground, and you have to throw confetti on them to like cover them back up. And it is just like, like it's like a little, it's like the grunt head popping with the grunt birthday party skull. It's like, hooray, you're throwing the confetti out. And it's really cool because you have to find more confetti around the environment, and you do that by like breaking things down. Dude, this game is so good. Please play Mario Party and the Origami King. It is so good.
Okay, that's pretty good. You're selling me on that game because I've been kind of flirting with maybe trying to play that.
I mean, look at it. Look at how beautiful it is. Like,
it looks good.
It's so good looking. So good looking.
My final pick here was we've talked a lot about Xbox the last couple of weeks. And one of the things that a lot of people have talked about this generation are just, and one of the things I think that people are wanting to see from Xbox are their exclusives. They want to see their first party studio step up in a big way next gen, starting with Halo Infinite. And I will definitely admit the last year for Xbox first party exclusives has been pretty light. Like big ones like that people are like, oh my god. But there was one that has come out this year that I was excited about before. Like when they announced this, I was like, yes, I want some of this. Give it to me now. And that game, which is my final one on the list, is Gears Tactics. I have not played nearly as much of this game as I should be. This game slaps like so good. It's awesome.
That's the back of box quote. This game slaps.
Like Gears Tactics is basically XCOM with a Gears skin. And I didn't realize that that's all I wanted in life was XCOM with various skins of different games on there. Playing through the first few missions, I was just in awe, not only like at how it looks, but how it plays like XCOM, but it has its own unique spins. Like you can, each turn you have a certain amount of moves you can do. So like I could, one turn for my character, I can have 3 moves that he can do. So I can move him to this point, I can shoot somebody, and then I can place a turret. And that's really cool and unique because it's more multifaceted because it makes you think about, ooh, what can I do? Because take that example, I can move somewhere, I could shoot an enemy, then I can put a turret up that basically has a cone that pops up. So that way when an enemy comes into that cone, whatever actions you had remaining, guess what? It does additional damage to that enemy. So if they try and charge you, boom, 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 they get some, you get some shots in, maybe put them low on health or kill them completely. And so a lot of strategy and thinking about that. Like if you have a lane, maybe you should do something like that. Or if you're, as I have been by enemies, if you're pinned in a corner and everybody's got turrets put up, like how do you get out without being shot? Or if you can't, like how can you just live so you can get healed or do something like that, and managing your turns so that you can continue forth. it was something really, really cool. And XCOM is another game that I really need to play more of and haven't had a chance to. I was actually thinking about, I think they had that new Chimera Squad game that came out this year I want to play. But like Gears Tactics has been great. I've loved that whole game. Like I said, I've only played a little bit in there. I think the other thing that's really cool, and it's the thing I love about XCOM, is the customization of your characters is really, really in-depth and unique and detailed. Like you're down to like different armor pieces and the color of the armor pieces, weapons, skills, clothes, names, looks, all sorts of stuff. It's all customizable, and it's really awesome. I actually really wish that this game got more attention than it did. I didn't like the fact that I was hoping this game it's on Game Pass, and I was hoping it was going to be on Xbox at launch, but then kind of the last week or so, like, oh, nope, it's only on Windows. So I can only play it on my computer, but playing on it has just been such a blast for the little bit of time that I've played on it. I need to play more, but it's already been cemented as one of my favorite games this year. It's really something special and really something that, if you like tactical RPGs, you need to play Gears Tactics. It's really good. They've done a really good job with that.
Good. That's good to hear, man.
But that's it. That's all of our games. That's the list we've got for you guys here of our favorite games of 2020. Let us know if you're listening or watching here. What are your favorite games of 2020 so far? Let us know in the comments there, or tweet at us at Rocket Punch Go, at Darth Turner down below. Let us know what games have really grabbed you guys this year as well. Seth, anything else you got before I wrap things up here?
Stay cool, people. Stay cool. Listen, it's show love. Look at my camera can't even focus because I'm hitting y'all with the truth here. It's we're knee deep in console shenanigans, and right now it is very easy to feel offended and or empowered to feed into that even more. But I will say, one of the things that I've learned this year, and looking back at these games, that I'm getting to the point now where I'm not really interested in who's got what exclusives. Like I'm disappointed when I see stuff locked behind certain content, but I also acknowledge that I'm privileged enough to be able to, like, you know, if I really want to play Spider-Man, I'm going to be able to play Spider-Man in Avengers, right? Like I'll just have to get it on PlayStation, right? Like it sucks that I don't get to play it on my preferred platform, but I'm at least in a privileged position to be able to do that. But more than anything, I'm learning that gaming isn't supposed to be about following this media pipeline all the way down to being told what to care about and only caring about that stuff, right? It's like, you look at the games that I said that I was really into this year, like I could have easily been like Doom Eternal, Final Fantasy VII, and this isn't a jab at you or anything, but it's like I could have gone with like just the top 5 Metacritic games of the year, right? But when I started to think about it, I was like, what is the games that I really had the most fun playing? And that was Murder by Numbers, Minecraft Dungeons, games that quote unquote aren't huge blockbuster games. But what I'm beginning to realize is that what I really love about gaming, and what I hope everybody out there kind of discovers through Rocket Punch or through your own gaming experience, is that gaming is something that's unique to everybody. And it's, at this point, it's getting bigger, but that doesn't mean that it's going to hamper your ability to enjoy things. If you only enjoy playing Call of Duty every day, more power to you, dude. You get the best I think the best Call of Duty they've ever come out with is out right now, right?
I would agree, yes.
Got more content than ever before. Are they going to announce a new Call of Duty? Who fucking knows? We don't know at this point. We're more likely to get it announced on a bag of Doritos than we are to get it actually announced. But hey, thanks so much, JW Moses, for joining us. You'll have to catch the rest on the podcast. For those of you hold on, let me finish my thing. Then we'll talk about the post show.
Yeah, we will.
What I'm trying to say is that don't let, just because a game isn't quote unquote popular, like if Halo Infinite comes out and is like, gets 72% on Metacritic because it doesn't look next gen, and like everyone's comparing it to PS5 exclusive games, things like that, don't let that make you feel like the game isn't good for you. The game is still good, right? The game is still fun if you enjoy your time with it. People roll their eyes and harp on Fortnite. But guess what? People still love Fortnite. People still loved Minecraft back in the day.
The publisher does it. Epic Games is like, I don't care what you say. Apparently, we're doing all right.
I love Sea of Thieves. Do I play a lot of Sea of Thieves? Not anymore. Most of my time is in the past, but I love that world. Now it's number 3 on Steam. Like, it is coming back in this weird, crazy, cool way. Like, and I'm happy for them. Now, is that going to change the Metacritic score being like 70, 80, whatever? No, it's not. But who cares? Like, who cares at this point, right? Like, just enjoy the things. I always think about that comic of the person like coming in and doing the, let people enjoy things. Like, he's like holding his lips shut. He's just like, let people enjoy things. And that's just kind of where I'm reached in my gaming career. Like, yes, the console wars are heating up. We have a show called Console Wars where we poke fun and throw shenanigans back and forth. But at the end of the day, gaming is something that's for everybody. And it's getting to the point now where it is for a majority of people on the planet, right? Like, we're no longer counting gamers in millions. We're now counting them in billions. And so when you look at gaming as a whole, just because a game comes out on PC and not on consoles doesn't mean it's not a full game. Just because a game comes out at $30 and not $60 doesn't mean it's not a full game. Just because a game is $5 on Steam doesn't mean that it's a game you should feel ashamed for loving, right? Crosscode, probably going to be in my game of the year list for my personal game of the year. I think it's what, $20-$30? Like, it's not a full priced game, but I still think it spanks.
Yeah.
I'll say this, it spanks Assassin's Creed at being an action RPG. Absolutely, up and down spanks it. Is it as beautiful? Hell no. Although they do draw different sprites. Like, there was a scene where there were like 4 sprites in a row, and the dialogue was all just ... She was like shocked. But they drew 4 different sprites for her face instead of just using the same sprite for the dialogue chat.
Wow, okay.
Very impressive game. I digress. Wrapping this all up, just, man, I love games. I love video games. And yeah, you can see I'm kind of getting to the point where like I'm loving more fun and happy games than I am like super depressing and horrible games. But that don't make that think that like I don't like those games. Like, I'm gonna be playing Resident Evil just like you will. I'm gonna shoot them zombies in the head. I played Last of Us Part 2, but I'm getting to the point where I'm like, man, I'd rather play Murder by Numbers or Heroes of the Storm than Ghost of Tsushima. And that's nothing against Ghost of Tsushima. It's just I have those games are in my hands. I can play them now. I don't have to pay $60 to play them. So why play those? You know, why play something else right now when I got other things I can play? So that's my 2 cents.
Couldn't have said it better myself, man. 100% agree. Well, guys, that's it for the main show here of the Rocket Punch show. Thank you, everybody, who's listening and tuning in. Remember, if you want to stick around, if you're watching via Twitch, you want to stick around for the post-show. If you're a subscriber, we'll have that up in just a couple of minutes. But to everybody else who's listening in, thank you guys so much for joining us this evening. Really appreciate you guys' time and coming to support the show. I talked a lot about it in the twerp episode earlier today, but like I really appreciate you guys and everything that's been going on. We've had a good week last week. I'm hoping to have a even better week this week with a lot of content coming out to you guys. So follow us at Dark Turner on Twitter or at Rock Punch Go on Twitter, and we'll definitely keep you updated on our content. But until then, guys, thank you so much. Good night and good game.